My name is Gena Truitt, and I'm an MSW intern at Wolf Canyon Elementary School, and it's a military impacted school, so we're in there to try and just help all the children there.
So tell me about your personal experiences with military dependent.
Well, I am a military dependent. I am a spouse, and also I'm prior active duty, and I have quite a different experiences, from active duty to being a spouse. It's a huge transition, and so I've been working with different commands, and I was also an FRG president at the last command.
Have you any, during your internship, any experiences with the military children and their families?
Yes, as an FRG, which is Family Readiness Group president, I organized spouses and their children. We all came together for social events, and my goal was to improve morale. And so when we got here to San Diego and I found this program, I was like, yes, this is perfect. I can work with military kids, and I can help bring the spouses together and build communities and get them the resources and everything that they need.
How has the organization you're affiliated with kind of dealt with or addressed the needs of military children?
At my school, it's a great school. It really is. It's a brand new school, but they don't have much for military kids there. And that's one of their, I don't want to call it a weakness, it's something that we're room for growth. And so I'm hoping that with my resources and connections that I have with like the Fleet Family Support Center, I can help integrate, bring them in, and so that the families that are going to that school can get access more of the resources.
So one of the things that I've kept coming across during the interviews is this lack of knowledge of where the military children are and how many there are.
Yes, that's a huge challenge, because I went the first day I was there, I was all excited. I'm like, yeah, how many military kids do you have? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, how can you not know? I mean, what? And it's a huge challenge, because a lot of them, they just don't know, especially in like the leadership positions. But when I was talking to like one of the what are they called, noon duties, and she said that, and she's a prior service, she's a military spouse, and she's like, I would say about 50% here at the school. So it's not necessarily they don't know, it's just that the higher ups don't know because of I guess paperwork. So I mean, it is a huge challenge to really know what their population is besides the general demographics of like what their race or ethnicity is.
Yeah. What are some of the advantages or challenges that you've encountered when working with military children, the students and their families?
The advantages is that they're from all over the place. I mean, and I think that's an advantage because they've been to different places, they've experienced different things, and so they can draw from all these different experiences. But that's also a challenge at the same time because they're constantly moving, so that they're always in transition. Because the biggest thing with being a military spouse and a military child is that there's no routine. Because you never know when the mom or dad is going to deploy and when they're going to be back, and everything's always kind of up in the air. And so I think that's the biggest problem that we have, is trying to help these children deal with all of these transitions, and also for the parents, because the parents are dealing with having to be a single mom or single dad to being a spouse, and it's hard.
How do you think we can kind of keep a constant in our schools with military children? Is there a way that is there something that we can kind of come across in like a common denominator in schools that the military children can rely on?
That's a good question. You just need to have an individual there, like a social worker, who could help with like the case management of the families that are there, so that they can get the services that they need, so that they can really be in touch with all of the military families that are there. So I think really it's going to be social work, because we have the skills and the training to deal with all these different diverse issues.
Yeah. What do you consider the top priorities when working with a military child? And family, I guess.
The top priority is creating a connection between the parent and the school. That is the most important connection that can be made, because as soon as the school and the parent get on the same page, the child will thrive. And if we can just get away from the conflict and start building solutions, the children are just going to thrive and grow.
Yeah. That really is, the first step to getting through. How do you think public education has responded to children being in the military and schools?
It depends on where you're at. Because yes, San Diego is a high military population, and also like in Norfolk, I can only speak for the Navy because that's only where my experience has been. And then I want to say in Virginia, they really didn't do much, which is crazy because they're so close to DC and everything. Whereas here, they're very proactive. I think now, I think it's very recent, and I think that the American public, they really want to help support these families, and it's put a lot of pressure. And there's all these different organizations like the Armed Services YMCA, the Military Child Education Coalition, all these different things and groups that really want to help, and it's really bridging that gap. I think, and that now we're definitely on the road to success.
And last question. What do you want to take out of these workshops today, and what do you think other people, are going to value from the workshops today?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a minute, because it's what I'm taking out of this is getting more resources, because I'm all about resources. I'm all about gathering all this knowledge, and then I pick and choose what I like and make it into, to my own style, and then try and make my style fit what the needs are in the schools.
Yeah.
So it's just really just information gathering, because I don't think you can ever have too much information or resources.
Yeah, that's good.
Yay.
Is there anything else you want to add, or?
No, it's just the main thing that I think that we, as for the military and the schools, is that we know that school connectedness it leads to better academic performance, and that if we can get the parents and the families more connected to their military branch or their command, it will in turn create more of a support network, and also impact the schools too. So I think we really need to help bridge the gap between the schools and the military and the family. So it's kind of like a triangle.
Because I guess some of the issues are that military, either members or even I guess family members, service members and family members have an issue necessarily with the idea of social worker, and so some of them, from the interviews I've been hearing, are more comfortable going off base for that help. And
Yes.
And I'm hoping that, through this, that maybe they'll, be more inclined to just, to work as a whole.
Work as a whole. We have to stop arguing amongst each other about what the problem is and start looking at a solution. And the solution is really just communication and getting everybody getting everybody the needs, the support that they need.
Yeah.
And it's because the military is an interesting culture because they I don't want to say they frown upon mental health, but they kind of do. And that if you're seeking mental health, it'll impact your career. And so that's why a lot of them, like you had said, they go off base. And so a school can provide that, get them the services that they need if they don't feel comfortable going on base. So it's a good way to it's like a safety net.